In this video, I'm planning on talking about the size of operators. So I'm actually just going to make a comment here with a few notes about the size of operator. And then I think the best way to see what this is to just look at some code using it. So the size of is basically, this is a function that returns the number of bytes of any data type. So this returns the number of bytes of any data type. And this is important. If you go back and look in the book, so I'm looking at table 2-8. So this is floating point data types on PCs, and it has the long double precision, which is, it says it's 8 bytes, but then it has a star next to it. And it says that if you look at the star, it says that some compilers use 10 bytes for long doubles. And so depending on your system, you might not know the actual size of your data type. It might be important to see what to use the size of to find out what that size is. So I'm just going to put another note here. So the actual size of data types can vary depending on your machine. So the way that we can use the size of to get the size is we can just do, like, let's say that, first of all, let's declare a few variables. So let's declare a int number is equal to 8. And for an integer, that should be 4 bytes. Let's do size. Actually, I'm going to do cout. The size is, and then we're going to use the size of, and I'm going to put the name of the variable in here, just so that should print out whatever size of returns, which is going to be the number of byte. Then it's going to be the size of that data type. So I'm going to do an end line, and we can also do, we can also just put the name of the data type in size of, like this, so size of, and I could have just put int in here. So let's say that I'm working on a machine that I don't necessarily know what I need to know what the size of the data types are on that particular machine. You can just put the data type in size of, and it returns that size. So let's also do the long double, just because that's the one that says it depends on the size is, and I'm going to put size of and then long double. So remember, this is a floating point variable. And then let's just declare a few more just to actually, let's go ahead and run this and see what it's doing so far. So I need to save it. And I'm going to rename this. So I'm going to call this data types. All right, so let's compile it. Oh, and I need size of here. So I had an error in the code. So when I tried to compile this, notice how it wouldn't compile. It just gave me an error. And it tells me what line the error is on. Although, so yeah, this is on line 19. So then I would go look at line 19. And the error was right here because I had the just size instead of size of. So it says that size was not declared in this scope because it doesn't know what size is. And then it might give some suggested alternatives, but we know that we're just using size of. So I'm going to save this, compile, and then let's go ahead and run it. All right, so this says the size of, so this is what we were expecting for the integer. So this number right here is an integer data type. The number of bytes is 4, and then int, so number of bytes is 4. And then for the long double, This is actually saying that the size is 16 bytes. That was good to check because in the book it says that it's going to be a minimum of 8 bytes. Some systems it says it's 10, but then on my particular system it says it's 16. So that's something that you would want to know ahead of time if you were needing to use that data type for whatever you're storing. So you can do that with any of these. So like if we have another variable, like let's say that we have an unsigned int. I'm just going to call this number second. Let's just set this equal to 3. So remember, unsigned just means that it's a positive number, so we're not going to have a negative number. And then I can do cout, the size is sizeof, and then first I'm just going to put the unsigned int in here, and then end line. And let's also put in the name of the variable just to verify it should be the same size, whether I put in the name of the variable or the data type that the variable is. So let's go ahead and compile this, run it. All right, so this says the size is 4. So for this unsigned int, it's 4 bytes, and then this is the same thing. So this is just putting in the variable name, but this variable is an unsigned int. So what I recommend doing is look at the 2 charts in your book for the integer data types and the floating point data types, and just practice using sizeof. Type up some code, kind of like I've done here, and print out what some of the different data type sizes are to get some practice using this sizeof operator.